What up, African world? It's Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. Jagama Kello was a military officer in the Ethiopian National Defense Force, also known as the Thunderstorm. He joined the resistance movement to fight for independence of his country against the Italian invasion of 1935. The unique thing about the history of Jagama is that he was only 15 years old at the time when he decided to act. Jagama Kello was born on January 29, 1920. In his early years, he lost his mother to illness, and his father also passed away when he was just 10 years old. His grandfather was said to have been a warrior, and Jagama was very fascinated and proud of this legacy. Following in his grandfather's footsteps, he joined the resistance movement to oust the Italians from Ethiopia. On May 1936, the Italian forces defeated the poorly trained Ethiopian military and took the capital of Addis Ababa. The Ethiopian emperor fled during this defeat, but this was not the end of Ethiopia, as the people certainly did not give up. As the Italian army began to advance, Jagama left his home with his brother to join the campaign of guerrilla warfare against the Italians. Despite not having proper weaponry, they gathered anything they could find to fight the invaders. Guerrilla warfare at this time was one of the primary tactics used to agitate the Italian occupation of their country. Leaving with what they had, they began to ambush Italian troops, and from their small victories, they would begin to arm themselves further. At just 15 years old, his guerrilla fighting skills, bravery, and heroism got him the name the Thunderstorm, as mentioned before. Others were quickly inspired by the bravery and success of the young Jagama and started to join the struggle. He and his brother began to control an army with over 3,000 men, all under their command. Jagama and his brother's troops were known as the Patriots. A journalist named Martin Plott, upon review of this time in Ethiopian history, had this to say about Jagama Kello. Jagama Kello was at the time no more than a young man. He was the son of a wealthy landlord who owned 900 acres of farmland with his uncle in Ginchi, not far from Addis Ababa. Jagama had heard tales of his brave ancestors as a boy and hoped to emulate them. When the Italian invasion took place, Jagama saw his chance. With his elder brother and uncle, he took to the bush, determined to resist. At first, he had no gun, only his elder brother had one. But they ambushed Italian troops and gradually armed themselves. Peasants joined the struggle, and by the end of the war, they had over 3,000 fighters under his command. One of Jagama's greatest moments was the battle at Sayum Mariam. According to Jagama himself, this was his largest battle he had fought, just 35 miles away from the capital Addis Ababa. A woman patriot told Jagama and his brother where to find the Italians. After this, they planned a surprise attack and won the day, receiving more than 2,500 rifles. This was Jagama's most notable victory and a very important event in Ethiopia's liberation. On May 5, 1941, after years in exile in Britain, the Emperor Haile Selassie returned to his capital. Jagama, who had received no British help during the 5 years of war, refused to go to Addis Ababa for the ceremony. In the end, the emperor came to Ginchi. Jagama says he put his 3,500 troops on parade to greet Haile Selassie. He was then driven in the emperor's own car to his palace, where he was awarded a gabardine coat and a gold watch. But the war was not yet over. Jimma was still under Italian control. The emperor asked Jagama for help, and he says he led his forces into battle. The area was swarming with patriots, many of whom may have been loyal to Jagama. He told the BBC that his forces captured some 500 Italian soldiers, whom he handed over to the British. It's interesting how far the young Jagama had come, starting off without a weapon to becoming one of the leaders of a decent-sized militia. Jagama remained in the military after the war and eventually rose to the rank of lieutenant general. The unique thing about Jagama and his resistance was the spiritual aspect of it as well. Jagama grew his hair into an afro, which he and his brother believed intimidated his enemies and gave them an advantage overall. For many African people across the continent, your hair is a big part of your identity, your power, and your legacy, and it's very interesting to note how a young Jagama honored that tradition. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself, remember your ancestors. Peace.